Let's go. Here we go live with first-time guest to the channel, Ted Adam Green, and returning for his second appearance in these parts, MIB Master. Welcome, gentlemen. My pleasure to have you both around here tonight.
Oh, always a pleasure, Chris. Always a pleasure, and it's definitely a pleasure to see my good buddy and my brother, Ted Adams Green.
Especially after our side fandom is football, and
yes,
both our teams won.
Yes, both of our teams won, Michigan and Georgia, and like I said, we're not going any further than a bowl game this year. But our Super Bowl was our national championship game was beating the terrible Ohio State Buckeyes. Okay, and I'm trying to keep this as a family show, so I'm pulling for Georgia. You guys go all the way.
Thank you.
All I have to say on the sports side is I'm in the Windy City. I'm looking forward to the new interim head coach possibly getting a win for my Chicago Bears. Now that we've covered the sports page, let's jump over to the toy section.
Yes.
So, Ted, let me shine some light on you, good sir. How did you first come to learn of Johnny, and what were your first communications, since this is the first time you're having a actual being on the same screen kind of a way? Take us back to the starting point. How did you know of MIB, and how did you start to communicate with it?
Well, I'm gonna pull out. I only have 2 originals, and the other one's hanging on the wall. So I'll bring out this fella here, a recent acquisition of mine from about 5 years ago. But I'm sure Johnny is very familiar with our good friend Sam Wilson.
Yes,
I had a Sam Wilson as a kid, and thankfully I had most of the lineup from Mego. It was the first and one of the rare toy lines where you could do your own crossovers. He could go on an adventure with Captain Kirk and Spock, or he could go and fight on the planet of the Apes, or he could be on, hanging out with the Super Friends this week, or with his good buddy Steve Rogers the next. So it's these characters, original Megos, that is what we have most in common. And through the Mego Facebook pages, which social media can be awful and terrible, but it can be wonderful. It is just like people. And if you can do a good job of keeping your feed in the right direction, you can meet wonderful people like Johnny here. And that's how I met him. Thanks to YouTube and the Facebook pages, he has the greatest single museum that I know of.
Oh, you're too kind.
He has figures that are mint in box, and he once said something that really resonated with me. As I don't have all of mine in box, some are out and about, and some my grandkids play with, because that's what toys are for.
Kids do, yeah.
But
that's what toys are for.
Yeah, but he said the thing about when you have something in the box, you remember that feeling of being in the store and seeing it for the first time. And there is no replacement for that. I was very fortunate. My parents, I don't know, they always understood my fandom, but they always supported it. My dad was a hunter and a kaolin miner and a gunsmith, and my mom was a bookkeeper and a administrative assistant. But they always took good care of us, and they got us our video games. And my mom actually worked in a small mall in our local town, right across from the toy store, Toyland. And she had an office that was, an office that was up one level, and she could look down, and part of her job was looking for shoplifters at the card shop where she was at, but she could see across the street or across the walkway, and she could see shoplifters in the toy store. And if she saw somebody looking suspicious, she would call them and say, "Hey, y'all need to go check aisle 3 over there. I think somebody's doing something." Well, as a result, she had access to all the toys. And I don't know who advised her on what the good toys were, or she just said, "Hey, my kid likes Megos." But with rare exception of the Teen Titans and maybe 1 or 2 other things, we got and the Wayne Foundation, which will come up later. We got everything. I mean, we had the whole lineup. It was great. It was wonderful. Every Christmas, occasionally you'd have to get a new Robin or a new Batman because those took the most abuse. But, just a great time and thankful for the parents I have. And, that's what Johnny captures in his museum is that moment of being a kid, 1976, 75, walking through the toy land as I go and visit my mom at work, and she gets off work, and we walk. You want to go walk through the toy store and just looking and seeing, and then that guy Santa Claus hooked me up really good.
All right, yeah.
And as my parents used to say, as long as you believe in Santa, Santa's gonna come visit. But if you quit believing in Santa, he's not gonna come, and Mom and Dad aren't gonna make that up. You're gonna get Mom and Dad gifts, but you're not gonna get Santa gifts. So
right.
I still believe in Santa Claus because I like to get my Santa presents.
Absolutely.
So
gentlemen, let me jump in with the comments. And Ted, this is our way of being live. We're doing our talk, and then we incorporate. Well, as you know, because you were commenting from last time when Johnny was here. So Fanboy Canteen, you'll note I got the Fanboy T-shirt right there. We get a Let's Go. We get another Let's Go from regular contributor Chai Star. Chai Star's always asking when's the next live stream, and then always apologizing for being late. But it's never a problem from being late. And now from Junkyard, we got a significant question. Hey, Mr. C. Hey, Junkyard. Is that a Superman mitten? So, yeah, it's a Superman, Batman, and Robin right there. And, again, I'm roughly at the 2-year anniversary of this channel, and that was my first ever publication. My partner in crime, Jim Campbell, was in the right place at the right time to snag the 50th anniversary. And, again, 50th anniversary because, as Ted is saying, it's that mid-'70s, early 70s. Getting that Falcon, being able to have him run with Star Trek or sending him with the Wizard of Oz, or just that interchangeability of all those subcategories of Mego. It was a beautiful thing. And exactly to echo what Ted's saying, then to have these new releases, mint in box, captured, recorded in the museum. Like we've said before, it's an archaeology of toys. It's collecting the artifact as a fossil in its pristine condition. So then Chai Star is saying any upcoming toys you're looking forward to. Ted, let's go to you first, and then MIB next. Ted, are there things on the horizon that you're looking for? Oh, here we go. Let me zoom in on the man.
He showed me pictures of this too. This is fantastic.
I had a birthday this week, and let me tell you, Thanksgiving's the best holiday to have a birthday around.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I asked for this. It's not Mego.
Beautiful.
But Todd McFarlane, I'm not going to say if he's a good comic book creator or not, but he is one heck of a toy creator. And I asked for this, and my oldest daughter, she made sure she found this for me. And, anybody our age, we never thought we'd have this. Now Mego, you need to do it. But,
get on board, Mego. Take notes.
But so that was my latest one, and I love the line because it's $10 a figure. I mean, that's reasonable. Mego, $20 a figure. That's my style. I can't really get into once you get over Figures Toy Company at $30, I'm out of the game. Right. But these little things, I mean, I never would have thought I'd have George Perez, who is my favorite artist, 2 of his pristine characters, on my desk.
Let me come back over.
And made so well. I mean, just
fantastic.
That's Vigilante and Deathstroke.
Vigilante and Deathstroke. But the JSA, that was my top #1 pick for either birthday or Christmas. So I'm pretty happy for today. I'm not looking today.
You're having a fantastic weekend, man.
I did. Tomorrow I might be looking, but And new figures. My brother gave me this.
Oh, I love that cape.
Also McFarlane.
Look at that. McFarlane has the pulse of what the adult collector is looking for and actually wants. And I give him credit for that. McFarlane definitely knows exactly what is that cape. That's cloth, isn't it?
This is the same material as Mego cape. I mean,
oh my goodness.
I opened it up and looked at it,
That's
and I was
gorgeous.
like, "Oh my gosh, this is
That's
amazing!"
gorgeous. Wow.
And
Look how tiny it is.
you get a different head that has a domino mask instead of a full mask, and then you get a couple of different hands. You get a green batarang for Robin,
That's beautiful,
and
man.
just
Look at
I,
that.
me in 1977 would have never thought we'd have that, but thanks to my birth, and I think that one's about a $30 figure, so not outrageous, but I'm sure at some point we'll mention the fact that me and Johnny really gravitate more towards the Mego figures
Mego
that
figures, yeah.
the cloth. Not that these are bad, because I mean they look great.
The cloth goods, yeah. We love the cloth goods stuff. So, but uh, to Chai Star G's question, any upcoming toys you guys are looking forward to, and to stay on that same Mego vein there, the Marvel figures. Whenever we get those, whether it's late December or early January, February, I'm really looking forward to those Marvel Mego figures. Uh, Ones that I had when I was a kid back in the 1970s. I would love for them to start off with maybe Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk, um, Captain America. We can keep it simple like that, and then I'm sure they'll move into bigger names down the road. But yeah, the Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, those guys, some of the Fantastic Four figures like the Thing. I would love to be reunited with those guys because I think they're going to be in the 50th anniversary box format as well. So those are the ones that I'm kind of looking forward to. To Ty Star G's question. Those are the ones I'm really looking forward to.
July would be a perfect time for those Fantastic Four to be out with the new movie.
Oh, beautiful. Listen, I'm with you.
That needs a consultant check from Disney Marvel right there for scheduling the release. Let me jump. Fanboy was also reminiscing. Now, in Fanboy's youth, he was more on the G.I. Joe circuit and the Transformers circuit, but he's come to, in our age, appreciate Mego through our, and that's right. Let us all have our different thing and then bring it all together. And it's real. We got a really amazing from Fanboy in a while. Now, Chastar stacking the questions on us. Do Black Friday sales come into play for you as a collector? Again, Ted, to you first, and then Johnny, to you next.
I did not see anything in the action figure market that I'm looking at for Black Friday. I'm also in the Hallmarkade community, which is equally as fun and crazy. And there was some big things there, but not as big as last year. So not yet. Not yet.
MIB, were you out and about today on a chase, or you just kept or yesterday, I should say, were you on low key for Black Friday or?
Black Friday, you know what? I did some Black Friday shopping last year, around this time last year, but this year, not so much because I have some stuff on pre-order that I'm waiting on, and with my museum budget, I'm really trying. That's gonna be my New Year's resolution, to stay within the budget guidelines. So you've been seeing a lot of. I've been on my RC radio control kick lately. So I mean, I've really been seeing a lot of those RC vehicles that I've really been wanting from Target. So I think the last week, I don't know, it wasn't a Black Friday sale or anything, but they had it marked down. So the ambulance vehicle, RC vehicle, was on sale from $40 down to $29. I had to get it.
Wow.
I mean, in situations like that, you just go get it. But Black Friday sales, I've saw a lot of action figure Black Friday sales, but nothing that grabs me, because once again, it has to. I'm beyond the point of just getting stuff just to get it. I mean, I have to absolutely positively want it, or just really need to have it, to even think about going over my budget or just picking something up. And so the Black Friday things kind of I missed a lot of that this year. Nothing that really grabbed me.
All right,
But there's always
Chai
Christmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Chai Star is known in MIB. You got a bit of from you. It's like a halo effect. Your overhead light has got just a little bit of angelic flair to you. So
what might look cool to you guys is driving me. And if you haven't been noticed, I'm looking up and trying to readjust this so I can. Right. He said angelic look. I know. It's like.
You are angelic, John.
Right. Oh, God bless you. I can't. I'm sitting. Maybe if I slide over.
There you go. There you go. There you go. All
there,
right.
Move over to a look.
Junkyard's pitching the question. We'll keep the same format. Ted, to you first. Spider-Man from the 70s would be wonderful to see. Do you look for action like the action punch in the figures?
I would love to have it, but if that's too difficult for them to do to sell it $20, I'd rather have it without it and keep the $20 price point.
Yes.
I can always make, we
can do that ourselves,
what
right?
Falcon, he's got you.
He's got you. Look at that.
Wait, Ted, let me all right, go again. We need full
size.
Go.
He's got a broke leg right now, but he's gonna get that fixed up.
We'll get him. We'll get him right. Go
ahead.
Go ahead. No, Mr. C. I agree with Ted on that. I tell you, a fist fighting action accessory, like from back in the 1970s, you had the Mego fist fighters. That would be nice, but to Ted's point, I agree with Ted 100%. If it's going to impact the $19.99, $20 value of the figure, just give me the regular figure, and I'll do you one better than that. It doesn't have to. We can go back to the old Type 2 bodies, because there's so many people complaining about. I never open up anything anyway, so my Superman he wouldn't know. But these new bandless bodies are it's just a headache from what I'm hearing. So I would like to see just a regular Type 2. If you really want to get technical and historical, then bring these Marvel figures out and give them the old Type 2 bodies. So I would prefer that rather than to see any gimmicky type of action, swivel hit punch or power punch or the fist fighting action. If it's going to raise the price, then no. Just let's keep it classical. Let's keep it very vintage style, and I'll be happy, just like I was back in 1976. Okay, when I got my first Spider-Man.
And again, at the time, all the posters and the art promotion was all John Romita Sr. style of Spider-Man, and what a beautiful thing to have the figure to go with the posters. I want to say Casual Crafter. I don't know if Casuals give Crafters in the comment section, but we got coming up soon. Crafter, he went a 3D. Anyway, what I'm saying is Crafters got me checking out the Classic TV Toys website for inventory, so I can get a body for this Wolfman that he 3D printed.
I can't wait to see that.
So that, and let me tell you, I told him come in and speak for himself, but he said his printer is up and working again, and he'd like to send you a Wolfman head if he can finally get you to paint, Johnny. But we'll settle that off the camera, no pressure. I'm passing Crafter's word, but I'm not here to
listen. And the thing is, I love Casual Crafter. And like I said, I think the last live stream, I still have something he sent to me, a diorama, a small diorama set. It's still beautifully placed in the box that he sent to me. I can't bring myself to take it out. I can't bring myself to take anything. It is an illness. And I apologize in advance, because if he sent me that Wolfman head, it would remain in the package, beautifully wrapped and everything. It would be it's a piece of toy history, and for me to paint it and desecrate it with my lousy painting skills. Oh no, I could never, I don't possess those type of skills. So I'm just a curator, a low, just a humble, curator of a museum, And I dust things off. That's what I'm most famous for, just keeping the dust off of these artifacts.
Well, now I'm just, and I'm going to come back. So now I'm going to tell, as Fanboy is saying, MIB is the true MIB standard. I'm not going to answer Crafter. I'm just going to tell him in the timestamp, Crafter, look for the 19th minute, and MIB will answer your question. But what I was coming to say is, for the first time I saw on that classic TV toys that they had the 8-inch bodies that you can buy for customization, and it said punch feature, and it had a little switch in the lower back. And I didn't remember. I definitely, there's the Kung Fu grip, and there's the other things, and with the super powers line came around later, and they all had actionable things. The Flash would run, the other guys would have various punches, but I didn't remember that attached to Mego directly. So I just got, as I was doing my homework for Crafter, I got real curious about how would this switch in the back work and what kind of exact punch would that deliver. But now Chai-Star pumping out question after question tonight. Where did you guys buy toys when you were kids? Any funny or interesting stories? And then hang on, before we go to that, because let me not let Fanboys comment. If Fanboy showed some restraint for Black Friday, he got the Playmobil A-Team van 56% off.
Where?
Good numbers and good math.
Where'd you get that from?
That's
Fanboy?
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I've been looking for a 18 van like just forever, since 1983.
The Playmobil is off the chain.
I haven't even
they're
seen
enterprises.
it. Amazon. I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's.
I'm on Amazon tonight. Where you guys?
If you need to go quick, John, I can pull you and do two guys on the screen while you scroll around a little, or you can wait till later. I'm just saying whatever you're comfortable. So after we take Chai-Star's question, let's get to the Surge, because now we're coming on 20 minutes and we have not explained the history of Surge yet. We got photos that Ted took of his custom work. We gotta get to all the stuff.
You having fun.
So, Ted, again, where do you buy toys when you were a kid? I think you kind of answered that already.
I did.
Any funny or interesting stories? You kind of did cover that already. But go ahead and recap or revisit that, if you will.
Yeah, we had Playland locally, and that was great. And my mom had a connection with the store. And that's where I got most of the stuff. And occasionally, Woolworth, and then became Woolco, Walmart, Kmart. Did a lot of shopping in the late 80s, early 90s with some of the Marvel figures, going to Toys R Us in a larger town, which I live in now. And, you're scouring, doing the hunt. Did go to a few comic book shops. One was fantastic, but the first ones I went to, they were like the ones on The Simpsons. They made you feel a little nervous.
Right.
So I was a geek who'd always read comic books, and I didn't fit into those places. So I was like, okay.
Right.
that was when you knew it was a little strange. But thankfully, a good friend of mine had one he ran here that was the more family friendly, and so did a lot of purchasing in the early 90s. Then those have since gone, but they were more of the sculpted ones. They weren't the Mego cloth texture ones. But that was a fun time. Oh my gosh, hunting X-Men toys. Oh boy, Iceman, just great memories.
All of it. All right.
Santa bought all my early stuff, all my Megos, my G.I. Joes. We had all the yellow Adventure Team stuff, figures, vehicles. So that was Santa. He was good to me.
And right before G.I. Joe came down to that Star Wars Kenner scale, right, the larger G.I. Joe was co-occurring. You could be in the same toy aisle, and there'd be Mego over here, and a classic OG G.I. Joe around the corner, and it was a good time. MIB, same question from Chai-Star. Any funny stories? I remember the other time you told us a story about you being a Woolworth, and you would try to hide something down in the bottom of the container till you could get your financial firepower, as you sometimes said.
Right. That was some of my favorite places was Children's Palace. And this is the late 1970s and early 1980s. 79, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, somewhere around there. Children's Palace, Kitty City, Toys R Us, Zayre's, and obviously Woolworths was. I came to Cleveland, Ohio, in 1974 from Detroit, Michigan. So the first place that I found in Ohio as a 4 or 5-year-old is my aunt used to take me. My favorite aunt in the whole world, God rest her soul. She introduced me to Woolworths, downtown Cleveland, the old Woolworths, where you could sit in at the lunch bar and you can order a milkshake and a hamburger, and then I would have my toy, and that's where I became a big fan of those giant bags of Army Men and things of that nature. But that was those are some fun times with Woolworths, Children's Palace, and like I said, Zayre's was the one where they had the old giant bin of loose Mego figures, and I found the Mego horrible mummy figure, and I didn't want anybody to get that figure. So I my parents weren't going to buy it for me. So I said, in my baby brain, I think I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, I said, I'll bury him as far as I can underneath all of those action figures. And when I come back again, he'll still be there. Sound like a good idea at the time back in 1978, but I never made it back to Zayre's for some reason. So somebody was fortunate enough to get the horrible mummy, but that's okay. I'm reunited with him, decades later. So, but those are some of the my cool hangout places, growing up. Which like I said, I think right now, does any of them exist anymore here in the States? I mean, Toys R Us is gone. They have it in Canada, but yeah, Kitty City's gone.
Perfect companion piece to the show we just did last week. So not too far from me, there is an actual physical Toys R Us that is reopened in the Hip Mall, the Harlem Irving Plaza Mall. And so last week I had Fanboy and Shy Star and Junkyard, and the four of us were talking about, here's the new Toys R Us, and here's the old guard of Toys R Us, and the Zayre and the Venture and and all the spots we used to go. Let me pull one more comment, and then let's get to Surge. Here we go. Junkyard is saying, I gave you a Marvel Quicksilver. I'm glad I did that. And it stayed in the box till you had the kid, and then the kids open it up. See? So again, we're traversing the bridge from customizing to opening to keeping mint in box. And there is no wrong answer. There's no wrong way to go about it. But it's just cool to speak different languages, or to have different genres of collecting, if you will. All right, now here we go. We're almost at a half hour. We have yet to get to Surge, and I'm keep the comments coming, ladies and gentlemen. But let us get to Surge. So, Adam, here we go. Let me zero in on Adam again. Here's another Surge on the Surge. So, how did the concept come to you to customize Johnny into this figure, into this Flash-based character called Surge?
Well, first of all, he does a service for all of us. So
yes, he does.
As I say every time, he probably gets tired of hearing it.
No,
he's a national treasure to especially the people who collect Mego type figures. And he also, Lord bless you, he pulls in Barbies. I have $2 and a granddaughter. Yeah. I appreciate that that's a part of the museum as well. But you sit here and you want to do something for a guy who, number one, he only wants mint and box.
Right.
So that's a different level. You can do something for him, and it can be custom, but you got to make it where it'll sit on the shelf right next to, all the rest of these things, that looks like it came from the factory. Yep. So, and that's the toy figures carding there, because it has an advantage that you can actually kind of open and close it, and they'll give you a new zip tie. So
beautiful.
Now you can do, the boxes are easier to get custom, but so I thought the Flash family is my favorite line of characters. Matter of fact, I'll have to plug this. This was a birthday present. My friend Edward, who will come up later in the discussion.
Fantastic.
He made this in honor of the Tales of Titans covers. George Perez did. Wally West is my favorite character. The only other original Mego I own was a Wally West I got for $275. Bought
Oh,
it out of a magazine in the mid '90s. You know, you got
wow.
a lot of faith when you write a check and you send it to somebody in the mail.
Yeah.
But he is my favorite, and so the Flash family is my favorite. And so I thought, well, what can I do for Johnny? Well, he lives near Detroit, and I think of, you know, Justice League Detroit. He'd fit in real good with that crowd, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And then I thought, well, you know, you have different color schemes. I mean, we've got Zoom. He's, you know, the exact opposite. We've had a few others, but I thought, you know, green is a great color. Sometimes it's a hero, sometimes it's a villain. But I decided that we would do Johnny as a Flash character. And I came up with the colors, green and red. And then I thought of what's the name, which I'll also show Russ, the guy who did it. He threw that in because he knows I love Fred Hembeck. So
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
But so I said, well, I need a name. And then I started thinking, one of my best friends, who's no longer with me, his brother actually works for Coca-Cola, who's also a good friend of mine. We all went to college together. And he helped develop the soda for Coca-Cola known as Surge.
Yeah.
Which has primary colors of green and red. So, and it is a word that has something to do with speed. So I thought, well, you know, coming up with a new speedster name or new hero name is nearly impossible
These days, right.
So that just worked out great. I'm like, okay, well, this will be fun because he's a new hero. He'll look great. And at the time that Mego was putting out figures, they were putting 2 different art styles on it, which was even more fun because I could do the traditional Silver Age version of Surge, which is what, you know, me and Johnny, we're Silver Age, you know, bronze.
Yeah.
And then on the back, I could draw the new 52 version, which reminds me of his oldest son who plays a little basketball.
Right.
And I thought, well, it would be great to be able to show a younger version. And so I went with the Wally West where you cut the top of the thing off and you let the hair go. And I'm like, well, listen, I'm sure Johnny watched the movies I did as a kid, as a teenager. I'm like, listen, if he is a person of color and he has got the top exposed, there's only one thing to do, and that's a kid and play high top fade.
Come on now.
And the details look really good, but it took me 2 weeks, and I had to reach out to 2 different artist friends of mine of how can I make that look decent, you know? And when you get up close to it, it's got some good detail. And I had a fella who really helped me out who showed that. But, you know, I thought this would be fun because it's Johnny on the front, and in a way, it's like his son is on the back.
Yeah.
So just really taking all kind of advantage of that. Threw in a whole bunch of Easter eggs. He's got an origin story on it.
Oh my goodness.
Just so much stuff. Shout out to Mrs. MIB on the back of it because let's be honest.
She loves that too, by the way. She loves. That was a nice touch.
we would not have a happy Johnny with the MIB museum if his wife was not on board. Oh
no, right.
So I have a crazy room up here I call the fan cave, and if my wife didn't tolerate me, it just wouldn't exist. So, you know, just threw in all that fun, and you know, just all the little Easter eggs. The UPC code means something. The item number means something. But I wanted to give a guy who only likes things that are from the factory, never been opened, and you know, I had to figure out how do I do that, and I had a good idea. And Russ Yoakum, world's greatest customizer for me, my personal one. He could handle the figure. So I said, well, I can handle the art and the rest, and we'll put it all together. And it just worked out great. And as I mentioned to you earlier in an email, one of the things that my parents raised me, you don't sit around and talk about what other people ought to do.
Right.
You don't sit here and go, you know, Mego really needs to make the JSA. I mean, I want him to. I'm encouraging him. But, you know, by golly, if I want that Alan Scott Mego figure enough, we've got enough resources and talent and skill, which Russ helped me with. Just make it. Make it yourself, you know. I forever wanted my personal favorite custom composite Superman. We can come back to him. And, it just, I wasn't going to wait around. And so for Johnny, I'm like, no, somebody shouldn't do that for him. I need to do it because of what he does. This is a small token of appreciation. And by golly, he's worth it. And the best part is you don't tell him about it. You just say, hey, I need your address, and you send it to him. And he opens it up and he's like, what is it? What am I looking at? And it really is fun because when you do something like this for somebody, you get to kind of hear about how their brain just takes a little while to process it. And that is the fun. That's the reward, is my way of reminding him that even though, as he mentioned earlier, there's not been that many people in person at the museum.
Right.
He needs to know that he's got something there that lets him know that people appreciate it, even if they're not physically there. All of us, just really, really are thankful for what he's doing, and we get it.
All right, so Johnny, can you bring up the front of the Surge package? And can I ask, how much of this story did you know previously? Was that new? Was any of this new information to you? For example, the tie-in to Surge Cola. Did you know all of this before? Was some of this new info to you?
Well, this was I was finding this out as I was shocked and surprised when I opened this package. I did a video on it, but I also had a chance to dialogue with Ted, and he broke a lot of this stuff down for me. So yeah, he did make me aware, because I was asking questions, because it was the attention to detail, the smallest detail, and like Ted said, all of these Easter eggs, and my face here, right
Yeah.
there. That's just all of that.
Where's my face?
Right. Yeah. Where's the right? Yeah, I had to come all the way over.
Yeah.
But
Marty
right there.
Abrams' face is there on the Migos, and I'm like, we're not putting Marty's face. I love him, but
Right. And so that touch, all these beautiful things, which, like Ted said, it really conveys with who I am as a collector, as an MIB mitten package collector. I love the fact that all of these items in my museum, they tell a story. Their boxes and their box art and their information on their boxes and packaging tells a story. And that's what Ted incorporated in this beautiful Surge figure. So it's more than just the action figure. The entire packaging tells a story, about the character, about me, background history, my wife. It touches on everything, and it's just and then you have the action figure. So it is historical in so many different ways that like I said, that's why it's one of my absolute favorites, favorite items in my museum. And to have somebody, like I said this on our live stream last time, Mr. C, that it's so
Russ
cool
is
that
here. I see Russ is here.
where
In the comments.
Yoakum, loving this, Russ Yoakum.
Ladies and gentlemen, first time into the comments. Could
Who
be a
designed
future guest of on. Go ahead, John.
Russ designed the costume of Surge, and so just to be immortalized, I guess, if you will, as a superhero, it doesn't get any cooler than that. It doesn't get, and I get a smile on my face every time I look at it, and I come down into my museum, and we're talking about it, and hear Ted talk about it, to see Russ pop up here in the in a live stream. It's just it's fantastic. I can't put it into words. Words don't do it justice.
One of the things I was most pleased with was the sculpt work on the head figure and the paint job.
Yeah.
Just he worked with me, and he would send me stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is unreal.
Just unreal. It's just like I said, there's a lot of people, special people, talented people that put this beautiful figure together, and had a lot to do with bringing this figure to existence. And it's 50 years from now, it will look just like this in my museum. And fortunately, I'm still around in 50 years. So we can still be, all of us be around 50 years, and because this is just it's just a magnificent figure, and it's one of my absolute favorites.
Now
So
let's say, oh, sorry, man.
no, go
Assuming
ahead.
Russ is still with us and hasn't jumped out from 3 minutes ago from his comment, let me pitch Jim Campbell's question to Russ first, and then to our live and the live stream guest. Is there any similarity, would you say, between being a toy customizer and an independent filmmaker in terms of, so the media is very different from getting a film together versus getting a figure together, but in the process and the concept work, Russ, would you say there's similarities? And while we're giving Russ a minute to type in, Johnny, Ted, either whoever wants to go at it first, do you see any similarities between the toy customizing and the independent film producing and directing?
I think they go ahead, Ted.
I was going to say, when I did my Earth 2 Robin in the gray outfit, which was one of the few ones that I did, you have a vision and you stumble through, and you might take one or two passes because it's a steep learning curve, but you travel it. But then sometimes you end up with things that are better than what you first envisioned. So I do think any creative process, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of them, whether it's, making something around the house that's a new shelving for the laundry room, or you're sitting there and, you're trying to fix something in your car and make it work better. You have those processes you work through, and you have the happy accidents. And then you have where what you end up with, if you're patient enough, which that's hard, is actually better than what you first wanted to do it to begin with. The Robin for me was the mask. I needed the mask on that one to be very good with that weird gaudy mask. And so I had an original style Robin, and I had to cut it myself. And, I'd never done that. And that was a daunting task. And you get, I had half, and half looked great. And I'm like, well, but can I get the other half to match? So and if you're fortunate, you end up. So yeah, I think anything creative, doesn't matter the medium, it's the processes are the same. So I would say, yes, I'd say there's a lot of similarities.
I agree with everything Ted said. I can't really add much to that. I mean, I think it's just, yeah. I mean, I agree. It's just both. You can't lose the creativity from both genres, or whatever you want to, however you want to place it or say it. It's just, yeah. Well, I just love to see it. I mean, I love to see people thinking outside the box, whether it's with the comic books, movies, action figures, or different plays off of action figures. And we'll touch on Ted's composite Batman, but was it Batman or Superman? I mean, they're
Superman. That was the name they gave him.
The composite Superman, right? Yeah.
Well,
but that. Go ahead, Ted.
Say, and like with filmmaking, you can't do it by yourself. You have to have resources that are people, and
right.
What they bring to the table is often one of those pleasant surprises of, wow, okay, yeah, man, I thought I had a good idea, and my idea paled. So I've benefited from working with the right people. And in Russ's case,
yeah,
he obviously is the right people, to the point that it's just better for me to send him a little money in PayPal and have him handle his part of it. And
right.
then I work on my part, which was the original idea. Right. I'll tell him, hey, I want this figure to have a holster and a belt, or in this figure, I want it printed on the fabric. There's those little questions. Oh, and Russ is in here.
Right.
Wow.
Use dried Dayquil gel caps, cut in half and drain for Blue Beetle goggles. If that's not top level creativity, I'm just gonna say it's a wish list kind of thing. Maybe one day we can get Russ and Casual Crafter together here, and that's like a Lucas and Spielberg, just trade in their trade secrets or their
Right.
specific
Russ
tips
giving
for
away
their
the secrets for
process.
free.
Literally, my hat's off to him.
Man, that's a good move.
Right.
All right, now let me get as Ted was generous to load up these pictures, and now here we are at 45 minutes, and finally we're going to get to the first of the pictures. So Ted, this one amused me.
He's a beg you. For the love of all that's holy, do not crush it. What's that? Won't mutilate, decimate, destroy, or obliterate, damage or mishandle. Thanks.
Yep. That was the box that Serge came in to me. He wrote that on the outside for the delivery service to please be gentle.
So that was Russ's writing there.
That is Russ's handwriting. Yes, he did that. And like I said, he throws this in. And I mean, as you talk about attention to detail, Johnny, what I did on the finished product, he was doing details on his element that didn't make it to the end product, but it was a part of what he did. So
wow.
Now
I'm learning. I'm learning new stuff now, Mr.
All right, there we
about
go.
That. We got Ted talking like that. Yeah, that's new. That's new to me. That's fantastic. And when you get these guys together, and I always love the behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't see. You're not going to see in post production and things of that nature. To hear these stories about how this stuff was, these ideas were formulated and what made it, what was talked about, how it came to be. That I'm like a kid in a candy store. I could sit up here and watch this show all night. This is fantastic.
All right, here we go. As Ted had foreshadowed, we got some composite Superman and Batman coming, some Robin, but in the way that are loaded in the photos. We got the JSA Golden Age representation, later known as the Sentinel, but of the many Green Lanterns who have entered the entertainment and the DC universe. Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern. Ted, tell us about your composing of this lantern figure.
I think this was the first collaboration with Russ, and there were elements of this that I did a little bit of, but I realized quickly that I really just needed to let the figure production be in his hands. The elements that I did are nothing compared to what he did. I will have to do a shout out to Dr. Mego. Everyone knows and loves Paul Clark.
Yeah.
We would not have new Mego without him. I ordered some element of this from Dr. Mego. And when I told him what it was for, he put that lantern in my order for free.
Oh, wow.
He said, here,
fantastic.
I think you'll like this to go with it.
And even the shine into that lantern, even the luminescence inside the lantern.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it turns on. And for his thoughtfulness, if he's in his garage, he's packing up an order, he reads it and he goes, let me go grab this and give this to you.
Look at that.
So one thing that I've done for a number of my figures, but not all of them, is you used to get a card that would come with the figures, an ID card or whatever. And I'm a huge fan of Fred Hembeck, friends with him on Facebook, thank goodness.
For real.
Followed him for years. And so I would go on eBay and I would purchase, because he sells frequently on the regular, sketch cards. And so I have a sketch card here, Fred Hembeck sketch card. On eBay, I got a translucent ring that went with the package so that the owner has his own life-size ring to wear that looks like Alan Scott's ring. And then I reached out to Dengar, I think it is, on Facebook, and asked him, hey, here's what I need. And I like the George Perez because he's my favorite. And he put together this box. And so, between grabbing from here, there, and everywhere, there's at least 4 other people and 5 other people involved in this than me. I'm just kind of bringing it together. That was the first of the JSA Migos that we did, because I just got tired of sitting around and waiting. And if FTC or Mego puts one out, I'll buy it. But until then, I got this one, and I gift a lot of them to my friend Edward, who is my artist friend, long time buddy, and he is as big a Mego fan as myself. And I have to mention my oldest brother, Richard, who will maybe watch this at some point. He's the one that gave me that Robin. He got me started on Migos because I just was born into a world that superheroes and action figures existed. He's 5 years older than me, and so I can either thank or blame him for my love or passion. But so for my friend Edward, I get these commissions made, and we'll see one of the best culminations later. But this was probably the first one. And of course, Edward, he just really liked it. He's a big fan of the box, whereas I used to be a fan of the cards, but I've converted. Now I'm a box fan.
Well, again, we could
I
do a
love
whole
those
show.
boxes.
We could do a whole show just on Alan Scott right here, but let me try to keep moving because you gave us so much good stuff to check out. So I like how the hair is distinct from the Aquaman hair, right? You got a blonde character and a blonde character, but it's not a ripoff or just a repaint or the other. They didn't just stick a mask. And then just the rope across the cape, just everything about this, as we always say on this channel, the details really make a thing. If we're talking about Nicole Huff and her photo art for Barbie and customizing, it's the details continue to define and create the air of a thing. So here we go now to Robin.
That's Robin. The detail in Alan Scott that I had with Russ was I told him I wanted a physical belt. He could have printed it, but for that character, I wanted a physical, but then for Surge, it needed to be printed. So just little details. So that is the craziest one.
That's fantastic.
It really is. And I worked with a couple of different people to put that together. I did most of that design myself, from having to make the decision, do you go with the gloves from the traditional Mego? Instead, I went with the gauntlets and the blue hands, boots that are actually replacing the feet as opposed to boots that slide over the feet. Improvements that I think Mego would have eventually done themselves. Get those from the traditional websites, Dr. Mego and the other ones. Got the logo for the chest emblem, physical belt. The 2 scariest things was cutting the mask and cutting the cape, because everybody knows the Mego cape material is, I think it's basically umbrella material.
Yeah.
So you cut it once and then it frays. So that was my personal biggest challenges. And after that one, I was like, I remember how well Russ did stuff on Green Lantern, Alan Scott. Let me go back to that. But I go and I was able to get a card from him back. I was also able to work with one of the custom box collectors. And those boxes, they're like $22. The one I just bought, everything all in. And I'd pay $40, to be honest, but they don't charge that.
Wow.
So, and you just put it all together and you end up with just that total package. So that was the next one that I did for my friend Edward as a present, because we both love and hate that costume. It's so gaudy. It's so gaudy. It's like a hot rod car. It has to be gaudy to be
there
a
was
hot
a certain
rod.
DC art house style that led to a certain look across the different costumes. Let me jump back to Russ is saying it was a Captain Kirk has to be head with a bit of extra sculpting on the hair. I couldn't even detect that. So that, again, getting the behind the scenes, it's a beautiful thing. I do also want to acknowledge Michaela from a few minutes ago has joined in.
Hi, Michaela.
Great to have Michaela along for the ride. Let me pull Russ's valuable comment from there. And then we have one. Oh, I didn't resize this one, but there's the good hempback art and the.
I was going to say, and the head that I used the temptation would be just to put the classic Mego Robin head on it, which was a little small. And I
Right.
said, no, because adult Robin is going to look a lot like Bruce Wayne, in my
A
opinion.
little older. Right.
That's a secret identity Bruce Wayne head that was used just to show a little maturity on him, as opposed to just taking.
Ted, look at the design, the attention to detail, Ted, in the chest emblem.
Oh,
You know?
that guy had like 4 different slight variations to choose from,
Right.
and you bought them, and they were on like a sticker thing. And I mean, I still got a few choices left, but that one was wow.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, that's just you got the bat wings, you got the circular background red with the R, the big block R there in the front. It's just a lot happening with that logo, and it all ties in perfectly. It's beautiful. That is a beautiful figure. Wow.
I just have to
sharing that
echo
with us.
MIB. Even the texture of the suit. The cloth again. The value of cloth goods and just how cool this looks. And again, this is if I can make this bridge that way, this segue, it is a composite crest chest album here between the traditional Robin and the traditional Batman. And so on the subject of hybridizations or composites, let's turn now to the classic character of composite Superman.
Yes, that is my ultimate visual figure. The character's not made many appearances, but I mean, my goodness, it's Superman, Batman, and he's green. I just, I'm sure that when I asked Russ about this, he was both excited and terrified, because how do you put those together? And he could have screen printed the colors, because he does excellent screen printing. That's what the Surge character is. But I mean, this is 2 different costumes put together. And then that classic, removable mask, he cut it in half perfectly. He painted, the hands and the face of Superman, and just, and then for me, once I got the box, that was just it. It's like, matter of fact, if you go on most of my social media, most of the time, that's my default profile picture. Because if you know me and you see that, you're like, oh yeah, that's the Ted I know. Yeah, that's probably him right there.
That's how I came to know your little profile picture was through this composite Superman. It just that is just a breathtaking action figure right there. Look at the.
Oh, he's bringing them out. Let me pull the picture out of the way.
Look at
this. Trade spots with you guys.
Look at this. And this is live. This is live right here, guys.
Yeah, that's the Kurt Swan. So had to have that. And it had a nice grouping on the sides of different characters. And I love that he went with pink and yellow, the designer. But now here's what you don't see a picture of.
Oh, man.
Look at that.
That is a sticker. And if you look, the cape is Superman.
And Batman.
Scalloped Batman. And you've got gloved Batman, which I think is appropriate on this one.
Yeah.
It's just amazing what he did. And he stitched, if you notice, the cape here meets a different way than the Superman. The Superman traditionally tucks in, whereas the Batman kind of comes across. And that's what he did.
He did. I just noticed that, Ted.
I mean, and then, are you ready? Are you sitting down, John?
I'm sitting down. I'm about to be knocked down in a minute. Look at this.
Look at the belt.
Oh, get out of here. He did the belt. He got the belt. He got Superman's belt coming in with Batman's and perfectly adjoined.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
I mean, I love that the circle buckle for Superman, the smooth texture, and then you've got the Batman. That's doesn't get any better than that, fellas. I mean, it really doesn't.
And he gave you a real belt, like he didn't give you the old Mego Superman's what's that? I don't know what type of belt that is stitched on. Yeah, he gave you a real belt. Wow. Phenomenal. On the open market, okay, on the open market, Ted, if that figure was in production, if that figure, that composite Superman figure was in production, I'm thinking somewhere around $80 to $90, maybe $100.
Okay.
Okay, on the market, on the collector market, if Mego put the composite Superman out, just like that, everything looking just like that in that box, everything, I guarantee you that they're going to be asking anywhere, I'm going to say from $70 to $100. Easy, because they only do so many.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah.
Well, and that brings a point that I mentioned in my email earlier in preface to this is when you get a custom figure, I mean, if you're going all the way, like I did, a box, everything, you could be into it, depending on what the figure is, $100, maybe $150 if you're buying
easy
a deck thing. But what does that get you? Oh my God! I mean, the money's going to be gone anyway. But I've got composite Superman, and I would rather sacrifice 6 figures that I'm just trying to be a completist on a run. Wave 22, I want to get all 12 of them. Well, 6 of them I might not be that excited about. Somebody else might be, and that's great. But I would rather not get those and end up with one of these. And then I'm not sitting around going, oh man, I really wish Mego would make fill in the blank.
Right.
Instead, I'm like, I want that one enough that in my budget of fandom money, I'm going to take what would have gone for, 4 to 6 figures, and I'm going to get the one made that I do want, because I know these customizers. Russ is my personal one, but I know there are other ones out there. They have a Hall of Fame. He's in it, by the way. Congratulations. But
congratulations.
These people can do it. Now, you can go on eBay, and there's some people who are already selling some pre-made ones, and those are a little more expensive, and you buying what they've made. But I recommend, finding a customizer to work with. I mean, it may take, depending on their life, because, Russ has had some excitement in his life, and so, it takes a little while. I'll put in my order in January for what I would like to get out by Christmas. And if it doesn't come, that's fine, because I know it's a one and done. By golly, I now have composite Superman for the rest of my life. I have the boxes checked. And next year, if I do one, it's going to be Airwave Junior, which sounds crazy, but that'll be my next one.
That's a deep cut there to go to Airwave, let alone Airwave Junior.
Airwave, he was in those 8-page backups back in the 80s whenever you got 8 pages, because they wanted to try and give you a little bit more. And I loved Airwave Junior. Don't ask me why. He was a little bit techie. He was riding, radio waves. I mean, nowadays it'd be the internet. He was the nephew of Hal Jordan, Green Lantern. He was a teenager. He was, wore a cool green outfit and could fly. I'm like, man, nothing I didn't love about Airwave Junior. He was in the back of Superman stories.
You got me thinking now about the old DC comic books back in I first saw him back in the early 80s, 80, 81. It was a Dial H for Hero.
He was very similar to Dial H for Hero, but he was always
all these different superheroes. He could dial the magical dial, and it was a cool book, because you had the that was the one comic book that DC would allow artists from all across the country, no matter what age, 13, 14, 15 years of age, 18 years of age, to send in their character. And they would have, and if you won, they would put them in the story. And so there's a lot of fantastic characters and superheroes from that Dial H from Hero series of comic books that I would love to see Russ do as if I had the money. I would like to commission Russ to do a lot of those Dial H for Hero characters. And I wish I had one of those Dial H for Heroes. I got a ton of those books. Not around me, though. I would love to pick out a few But that's what I think about when you said that.
And what I loved about Dial H was that was early 80s, and who was doing all the covers for him? George Perez.
Yes,
So
George Perez.
My
Yes.
favorite doing this one-off that we'll never see this character ever again. And who's doing the cover? George Perez. Now, I don't know who's doing the interior, and it didn't matter. I read it. I loved it. I'm like you. Ooh, what are we going to get this month? Yeah. But Airwave Jr. was kind of like that permanent Dial H. He was very, very deep cut, just an unusual character. And Lord willing, that'll be my next one. But it's worth it. And I love these videos where you get to see the process. You know, what's the one Scooby-Doo villains? I'm like, yes, let me see how do they do that. And you're like, wow.
Fantastic.
Because I can do some art and fake it, but that fine detail with a brush, I can't do physical media very well. I tried to do some comic strips back in the day, and I could not. Now, you give me an iPad and, I get to hit the undo button. I can fake it pretty good, but anybody who's making physical, you got one chance. That's a level above me or 10. So
that's fantastic. Mr. C, we have a lot of fun. I see it's after an hour.
No, so we're good. I appreciate, John, you're giving me we're going to wind down in a little bit. We got about three more pictures to go. Oh, no.
All right. I want to do a shout out because we're talking about action figures, and I could not go without mentioning this. This is another line, inexpensive on the front market. This was a Funko Mini Mystery, and it's a speedster. Y'all know my love of speedsters. This was the chase one. This is, Black Flash. He normally ran $100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for a little low. And I mentioned it to my mom's husband, second husband. I call him my father-in-law. Once. Showed it to him. Oh, Grandpa, look at this. Santa brought him to me that year.
Wow.
It showed up, and I was like, what is this? Yeah, Grandpa got it for you. I'm like, what? And I got this figure means a lot for 3 reasons. Number one, Grandpa, who I'd had a lot of misadventures and we did a lot of stupid stuff together. He got it for me just because he saw me how happy I was.
Oh,
and that means a lot. He's not with me anymore. So another reason is at the time I was struggling with my collection, and I know, Johnny, you can relate to that.
Oh yeah.
and mine's not on your level, and I'm not trying to accomplish the same goal, but I had really struggled with action figure collecting, and I'm sure everyone here can relate to that. And I had a dear friend of mine. His name is Ron Quinn, and you're going to watch this at some point, Ron. So thank you. Ron helped me get my mind straightened out about my figures, and he helped me to where I understood that I didn't have to meet anybody else's expectations but my own. It didn't matter what the market was saying. The market could say that, this is the dumbest figure ever made.
Right.
But by golly, if I wanted this one, that's an important part of my collection. But, some of these other ones that are in high value, if they don't mean anything to me, let somebody else who wants it have it.
Right.
Not even sell it. Just, make people happy.
Absolutely.
And that really turned my whole, and if y'all could see my fan cave, it is a hot mess of a little bit of everything.
You guys talk about coming to see me at the museum. I want to get over there and see your situation and go over and check Mr. C's spot out.
So, but I wanted to show this that means a lot. That's a little bit different, and thank Ron, because I wouldn't be where I'm at with these Megos that we love so much, and an appreciation for the sculpted figure. But we know, our primary love, and it's a topic for another call, is the Mego style, the G.I. Joe original, the figures that have, textured outfits.
Absolutely.
And I'm still trying to figure that one out, but I know that I like them best.
Me too.
Speaking of textured outfits, and let me pitch this question to if Russ is still there. So the whole I don't look at me. I can't even get the words because I'm so the composing of the composite suit was so well done. The belt, but now the helmet, it's not like you don't see a jagged split of a knife or something. So physically, how did the helmet get split in half? What tools were used? And part two, is the other half of that bat cowl somewhere around? I think of the Star Trek episode where our guy, the Riddler, I don't know why
the black white and the white black. Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Frank Gorshin.
Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't pull Gorshin's name right here, but okay.
There you go, Johnny.
Yeah, well, this is the FTC, and to Mr. C's question, I was just, and believe it or not, because this was open. This was like an extra. So
because it's an extra.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna give you guys a right. Is this a one of those moments? But
Elizabeth, I'm coming.
But how, to Mr. C's point, how was that? And maybe, I know Russ don't want to give away all of his trade secrets, but doesn't seem very cooperative material to splice in half like that and have it so perfect. I mean, was a laser used to come down on this? I mean,
I'll say this about Russ. He is very close to the Lord. He worked at a Christian university, and so I'm thinking a lot of praying came in.
Johnny's not the only halo effect around.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
exactly. Pray twice, cut once. That's probably what Russ did.
Because that is, I mean, and then it not only, I mean, the cut was perfect on the composite Superman's helmet, but it's to the point where he got just enough of the nose, just enough of that nose part that it's just. Yeah, I mean, Mr. C, you took the question, and I ever since I first saw Ted's composite Superman, thank you for answering that question. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, because that,
mere mortals cannot do what he did with that.
No, and it's just, oh man, it is a truly a phenomenal. He's answering. We have an answer here.
Tape for the straight line down the middle of the cowl, and a very, very sharp scissors and a steady hands. And yep, the other halves are. Oh man, see, man,
that's phenomenal.
Thank you, Russ, for shedding the light on that. Okay, we got 3 more pictures. Let's try to. I got some leftovers to get to before I get to watching Svengoolie. So let's be a little succinct as we tackle the rest of this material.
All right. This is the grand culmination with my friend Edward. We have the Robin, and then Russ made Huntress. And I mean, I gave him some very specific things and requests, and he delivered 100%. So those two in the middle are thanks to Russ, his guidance and things, and certainly 100% on the Huntress. That's a Figures Toy Company Catwoman and a Mego or Figures Batman. But let me tell you, I'm sure many of you know exactly where they're sitting at. That is the Wayne Foundation.
Yeah.
My friend Edward, we always said one day one of us was going to get one, and he got one. And not only did he get one, but he called me up and invited me over to help him put it together.
Look at that.
And I mean, you really, you got friends, you got people that you trust, you got people that, you'd help, but there's not many people you would pick up the phone and say, hey, want to come over? I'm going to take the Wayne Foundation out of the box, because it still had a box. It was beat up. But he said, and we're going to put it together for the first time.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, you take that one to your grave. I mean,
you take that right. It don't get no better than that.
It does not. I said, well, we've got to have a family picture, so here it is.
That's beautiful, man. The Wayne Foundation. Wow.
this merits having its own show altogether. And again, I do need to, in the next couple minutes, as we're acknowledging the wives, I can't let the wife be having the leftovers by herself upstairs.
No, we got to
So
let you go.
in short format, Ted, just in short format here. I can't deny Mr. Campbell's question. Your thoughts on the Flash movie and the figures?
I'm a distinct minority. I thoroughly enjoyed the Flash movie, and as I exited the theater, I was high as a kite, and I thought this was the best superhero movie I've ever seen. And I probably wouldn't think that now, but I was thoroughly impressed. And I didn't really get into the figures of those, though. Okay, all right, this is one of my first creative endeavors. My friend Jeff Burton, who is a teacher in Saskatchewan, Humboldt, Saskatchewan, world's biggest Starman fan. He cosplayed as Starman often. Wow. And so I created this fake Canadian crossover month. Anybody read DC back in the old days? You'd have the months. This was Canadian crossover. I created a press release, pretty much copied the Starman. I did redraw and recolor everything, but I mean, it was basically like an ink job. And then I took Jeff. Since then, they've replaced the staff with a globe. Alternates look a little, but not a whole lot. We have in the background the American flag, the Canadian flag. We have a map overlay of the city of Humboldt. We have the most important landmark in Humboldt in the background. And in the foreground is the villain, the Jolly Rogers. And anyone who knows Tony Harris, his studio is called Jolly Rogers. And he took a picture in that goofy dog van from Dumb and Dumber. It was at a theater. And he took a picture. And I basically redrew it and put his face on 3 different areas of the characters. And he is the villain. And then after I did this, I took it to him. He lives nearby. And I showed it to him. And I said, can you please autograph this? And we're going to send it to Jeff. And he just laughed and shook his head and goes, yeah. And on the side, I put in the little box that uses UPC with apologies.
Right.
But that was another one. And one of the greatest moments for me was Aurora Man in his current form got to be on a variation cover of Captain Canuck with Canadian's greatest independent hero, who's been around for 100 years, Captain Canuck. So I wanted to share that's what the character looks like now. And he's going into his 10th year of independent production. And he has had 1 million different Canadian artists work with him. And you know, you get a crazy idea like a Surge or a Aurora Man, and you know, you just do it for appreciation for the person, and then to see what they do with it is just mind blowing. So that was
fantastic.
Let me say sincere thanks to everyone in the comments section tonight, particularly Russ being a first-time contributor. Ted, having you as a first-time guest, definitely let's do this again. Obviously, we're trying to, again, with the duality, trying to give each piece its due, but trying to get up to spend time with the wife for dinner. So thank you, MIB, for coming back. Thank you, Ted, for being a first-time guest.
Thank you, Ted.
Close us out. Usually we do a little post-banter, but my post-banter is going to be getting that turkey in the microwave. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We got
thank y'all so much.
Let me just hit these comments. This has been a fun live stream, and thanks everybody. I'm closing us out. We will be back again. When's the next live stream? We'll figure it out.